Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Burt Bacharach. Uh-oh. Let's close the game right quick, huh? Bacharach. Let's close this game right quick, kinda. Let's close the game right quick, huh? Oh shit, we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Burt Bacharach. Let me get my hat. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Let's get this. All things UAP and UAP related. All right. Holy shit, honey. I'm a little thin. How we looking? How we sounding? How are the visuals? How is the audio? How are the reptilian shape-shifting child molesters at the Black Vatican? Where do we begin? Let's see. Should we watch the merged Q&A podcast first with Corey Graves?
To pose a collision risk given their capabilities. It seems insane to send pilots up without preparing them to see something.
Let's get the party started, Hanukkah. We'll move this down here. How about we add a source? And the source we add is browser source. Browser source. Take the URL and then paste it right there.
Finding new ways to innovate, helping humanity prepare for the unpredictable on the planet we call home. We see.
There we go. Holy shit.
These don't seem to pose a collision risk given their capabilities. It seems insane to send pilots up without preparing them to see something like this. Is that the real outrage? When we think about aviation safety, we don't. It's really not like a binary 1 or 0. We hit something or we don't. There is a lot of organized. These don't seem to pose a collision risk given their capabilities. It seems insane to send pilots up without preparing them to see something like this. Is that the real outrage? When we think about aviation safety, we don't. It's really not like a binary 1 or 0. We hit something or we don't. There is a lot of organization, you could say, mental organization and mitigation that we do to put barriers between ourselves and small issues, because those small issues, when you have a lot of them that essentially become unattended, that's when they line up and become a much bigger issue. These don't seem to pose a collision risk given their capabilities. It seems insane to send pilots up without preparing them to see something like this. Is that the real outrage? When we think about aviation safety, we don't. It's really not like a binary 1 or 0. We hit something or we don't. There is a lot of organization, you could say, mental organization and mitigation that we do to put barriers between ourselves and small issues, because those small issues, when you have a lot of them that essentially become unattended, that's when they line up and become a much bigger issue and then lead to an accident. It's actually a model they call the Swiss cheese model in aviation safety. And that's why we apply mitigation.
All right, check Discord for my latest comments. We should break down the article from the Rear Admiral. Okay. Let's see. Start with Joe. Oh, okay, yeah. Start with Joe showing. Yeah, let's do that. Because we have this weird thing as humans. Joe Rogan UFO hearing. All right, we got YouTube up. Because we already know the facts already. Us meaning. Display capture. Fit to screen. Video. What happens if I stretch the image? And then I go. No, that's...
It's so weird when like this UFO disclosure.
All right, let's see. Fit the screen.
Thing comes out, and David Grusch. Let's find out who he is and what his credentials were. But he essentially said that they are illegally hiding it from Congress, and they are illegally hiding it from the American people. But they have off-world craft in possession. Air Force veteran has made a bombshell claim that U.S. government has recovered materials that could be proof of UFOs, including an intact craft of non-human origin, but they are keeping it a secret from the public. David Charles Grusch, a veteran and former member of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and National Reconnaissance Office, has blown the whistle on this information, speaking with several news outlets about the crafts. This means like Roswell.
The thing about this Newsmax, News Nation. The thing about this News Nation is they're spending an inordinate amount of time on UFOs, an inordinate amount of time on this David Grusch case, and I'm increasingly more suspicious. I'm increasingly more skeptical. Like, the more I see, the more people confirming it, the more I'm like, something's not right. And then to see that this channel is the one that's covering it the most, I'm like, this seems like something's off.
Senator Rubio, who's on the Senate Intelligence Committee and has all the clearances, gave an interview the other day where he went into quite a bit of detail, and
yeah, I saw it.
At least heavily hinting that there's.
He's heavily hinting that he talked to someone that says that there's something.
That there are real. Well, he's sort of hinting that there are real whistleblowers with real knowledge.
I want to talk to the guy that sees the ship. That's it.
Yes.
No one else.
Yes.
All this, I talked to a guy who says that they have these things.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
I want to see the fucking ship.
Yeah.
And until then, I just feel like I'm being hosed.
Yeah.
It just seemed.
So let me just stop it right there and explain that people that are, and I'm guilty of this too, but us as Americans in recent years, we've consumed ourselves with politics. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but when you conflate politics with UFOs, that's when you start getting this distorted vision on what's going on. I mean, Joe has had David Fravor and Ryan Graves on his podcast multiple times. And they had a sworn testimony over the things that they were told. So, meaning if they were to be found guilty of lying under oath, they lose their career and they go to fucking prison. I mean, I'll tell you what I would not do if I had all these fucking years in the military, well accredited, well respected amongst my peers and my family. I mean, the last thing I would do is fuck all that up by making up a story about spacecraft. It doesn't make any sense for them to lie, especially under oath. And the fact that Rogan had them on his podcast, to me, is further proof that even because Joe, for the most part, vets people before they even go on a show. So now you even double up on that kind of vetting and corroboration and verification when you're telling your fucking story to Congress. I mean, what's strange is that he's discrediting a news source that has been pushing people that he's... Yeah, very fucking... That is a weird... Well, let's keep watching it, because maybe he'll... Because the guy he has on here seems to have his mind made up that this is real. Rogan's being ridiculous.
It's too laid out on a platter.
Yeah. So it's a...
See, this is the problem with us UFO people. Either we're pissed off that they're not giving us any information, or we're pissed off that they're giving us too much information and everything's a conspiracy. Well, you can't have it both fucking ways.
Of course, one of the theories is it's a sort of an AstroTurf story. Like, is that an AstroTurf story? Is that a manufactured story that's being used to distract from?
Would it be to distract from, or would it be to cover up some sort of a secret program,
Yep.
some military drone program or something of the like.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's been rumors for a long time that the original UFOs, right, where basically it was a disinformation program covering up for the skunk works, the development of like stealth fighters
Right.
and bombers and all these programs in the 50s and 60s. But
Interesting.
I don't know if that's ever been proven.
Well, I'm sure probably some experimental craft were mistaken for UFOs.
Yeah.
For
If you
sure.
see a stealth fighter for the first time,
I saw one for the first time.
it's pretty crazy.
I saw one right around September 11. We were filming Fear Factor in California, and I was out near Edwards Air Force Base, and I got to see one fly overhead. It's magic. It's
Yep.
like, wow.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like
I have
complete
seen one
Star
also.
Wars. Like, as it's flying, like, this is crazy.
So
Yep.
And if you didn't know,
I live near a military base over here, and even to this day, I've seen them frequently, these stealth bombers. There's no fucking way, Hannock, that stealth bomber wasn't made with a UFO in mind. It's fucking gigantic. It's the shape of a fucking triangle, and it flies over your house silently. Silently. UFO, okay, hashtag, use those. I don't even know where to put that. Mark Anderson is a big venture capitalist, and I think he's being facetious. Oh, I mean, why the fuck would you be facetious about senators fucking confirming this story? I mean, I don't know. I'm more of a UFO person before I am a political junkie. So, and to see Republicans and Democrats work together on this, it's pretty fucking groundbreaking, if you ask me.
that was
Let's see where to do this. Hashtags. All right. I don't know where to put those. In a description field. Really. Okay. Updated. Got it. I don't know if that works, Hannock. All right, let's see what he's...
thing. 100%, you would think that's from another world.
Yep. Exactly.
And I can imagine that was developed what year? How long ago? How many
It was
decades ago?
40 or 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's
Look!
do that thing. If you'd be like, they're coming. Oh my God, they're coming. But if you can imagine that was 40 or 50 years ago, 40 or 50 years of advancement, like
Yep.
who knows what they're doing now?
Yep, exactly.
And if I was going to cover it up, I would just start talking about aliens.
You know.
It's the best way to do it. Don't you think?
It's a crowd pleaser.
Do you have an opinion on that, or is this something that you find ridiculous until there's like real data?
I like living in a world where there are unknowns. I like there being some mystery. So I
Like, how far do you go? You go Bigfoot?
I don't know. I just I'm not even saying I need to have a point of view on them. It's more just by the way, there is a UFO right behind you.
Yeah.
You
I'm aware of
probably
that.
know all about that.
Oh, I'm obsessed with UFOs.
Lifting somebody right up into the air.
Look, there's one on the desk. That's the model of the Bob Lazar.
So I think I figured Joe out here. He is like, if you're ever going to have a UFO enthusiast, his fucking comedy club. I don't know if Mark Norman told you about this, Hannock. I know you were chilling with Mark. He's the best comedian today. I haven't watched his special yet, but he's, you know what I find a problem? And these guys are so fucking funny in podcast format that their funny doesn't translate to their stand-up. Shane Gillis, it does. Mark Norman, it does. But a couple of the guys, it don't.
Our craft that he worked on supposedly at Area 51.
There we go. Looks familiar. Look, I want there to be mystery, right? I want there to be
Yeah.
unknowns. Like living in a world where everything is settled, quote unquote settled. No. Let's have some mystery. I don't even know if I really want to know.
Really?
It's like I don't know.
Oh, I think if you know, that's just the tip of the iceberg of the mystery. I think knowing that aliens do exist is just the beginning.
Yeah.
So this is something I read on Twitter, Hannock. Let me share this link. Share the fucking stream if you want people to chime in. I never ask people to do that, but anyway. What the fuck? Give me a sec. That's not what I wanted to do. I gotta turn my fucking gain down, man. Holy shit. That's some high fucking gain I got there, huh? You could hear my fucking pin clicks and everything. That's some high fucking gain you got there, boy. Some high fucking gain you got there, boy.
The thing about this news supposedly at Area 51.
There we go. Looks familiar. Look, I want there to be mystery, right? I want there to be
Yeah.
unknowns. Like living in a world where everything is settled, quote unquote settled. No. Let's have some mystery. I don't even know if I really want to know.
Really?
It's like I don't know.
Oh, I think if you know, that's just the tip of the iceberg of the mystery. I think knowing that aliens do exist is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, okay, did they engineer us?
You said maybe Rogan is bitter that Grusch didn't come to him first. Yeah. Why hasn't Corbell and the weaponized crew spoken to him? Apparently he has. Corbell and George Knapp spoke to fucking David Grusch back in 2021 about this whole thing. If that's what you're referring to. Or actually, you know what's funny you mention that? Corbell mentioned a couple of times on Rogan that there was a lot of shit that he couldn't talk about, that he spoke to people. And I remember Rogan getting testy with Corbell because he's giving information without citing any sources, and Joe was getting aggravated. It turns out that one of the fucking sources that Corbell and Knapp were talking to back then was David Grusch. All this is connected, dude. The claims that Bob Lazar made is completely getting corroborated today by these sworn testimonies in Congress, in my opinion. I'm not big on shit like Bigfoot and a lot of these cryptids that people spend fucking and waste their life on. But let's see.
Uh-huh.
You know, when did they start visiting?
Mm-hmm.
You know, are the stories from the Bhagavad Gita, is that about UFOs?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know?
Have they been here the whole time?
Yeah, have they been
Mm-hmm.
here the whole time? Do they come every now and then and make sure we don't blow ourselves up? Like, what's the purpose?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in favor of
Come
that.
on,
Okay,
man.
all right,
You want to
okay,
know?
Okay, all right, I'm in.
If anybody's going to know, you're going to know. So I'm going to call you.
So Elon says this. Elon says he hasn't seen anything.
Yeah, I'm super suspicious when he says that. Super
suspicious that they have.
Why is this immediate dismissal of someone's claim become a thing? Like, Rogan knows Elon. Why would he just outright lie about that? And what about Elon makes you think he's going to get read into top secret black ops programs? He's a billionaire that all he does is fucking tweet about shit and talk shit all day long. Why would that guy be read into fucking UAPs and alien craft? Elon Musk would be the last guy I would tell that fucking secret to, dude. He's got the biggest social media following on the planet.
They haven't told him, or that he's maybe playing a little hide the ball.
If I was him, I'd play hide the ball.
Yeah.
If I'm running SpaceX, I'm working with NASA, and I already got in trouble smoking weed on a Joe Rogan experience.
And I see Rogan knows that NASA is in on the fucking cover up too. And now you got Kirkpatrick claiming that the sworn testimony of these former vets is fucking erroneous. I think the thinking is that he's already working in space and that he's probably more clued in. Well, a lot of these politicians have a fucking arrogance about them that they know everything. And there is not a possibility that they're not read into a certain program. And it seems like the older politicians, the 80-year-old people that should not be in Congress, they seem to be the ones with the most open mind about this whole thing, which is crazy.
fucking play ball.
You got the one strike.
Let's play ball. Aliens, I've no evidence.
No idea.
They sure are subtle.
Yep.
That's what he says. They sure are subtle. It depends on who you are. If you're one of those people that's seen those things, if you're like Commander David Fravor or if you're Ryan Graves, you know the Ryan Graves story?
No.
Fighter pilot, and they upgraded their equipment in 2014, and all of a sudden, because of the new capabilities of their equipment, they were able to see these objects at a far distance that were moving at insane rates of speed, that were hovering dead still at 120 knot winds, and no visible means of propulsion. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, and they were in.
No, he'll get us to Mars. We just won't survive the landing. It'll be like fucking Total Recall. I like Elon, but he does get annoying at times.
Countering them.
Twitter, by the way, dude, UFO Twitter wouldn't even exist right now if Elon didn't fucking take the helm. It would be some gay fucking, it would be LGBTQ themed UFO month.
Like every couple of weeks. And then there was some pilots were encountering them with eyewitness accounts. They say there's video footage of it, but of course nobody can get a hold of that. It's like the whole thing is very strange.
Okay, so here's something. So the a lot of people worried about AI are like, we need to shut it down before it like causes problems. Before
Right.
Like wake up the demon, cause an issue, get something on Earth that hates us and wants to kill us. Arguably the thing we should have shut down from the very beginning was radio.
Radio.
Right, because we've been like broadcasting radio waves for the last 100, 120 years, and the radio waves don't stop once they leave Earth's atmosphere. They keep going.
Oh,
and so we now have radio waves of human activity that have radiated out 120 light years.
Is that bad?
Well, depends.
We're
Are there hostile
signifying
aliens
our
within
friends.
120 light years, and so but maybe that was the original sin, and then of course television, of course, made that problem much worse.
Right. We would have to think of like a hostile, militaristic empire that took over a whole planet and then started exploring the solar system. Not one that we like to think of aliens as being evolved, hyper intelligent, beyond ego and war. They've bypassed all that, and now they're into science and exploration. And
Well, here's the question though: is like, would aliens have a sense of humor, right? Would they like be able to differentiate between truth and fiction, right? And so, like, for example, suppose they're sitting in their advanced alien base on Gemini 9 or whatever, and they're receiving 30 years, 20 years after the fact
Gemini
episodes
9.
of Fear Factor, right? And they think that you're actually like torturing people, and they figure that in order to preserve the human rights of humanity, they need to invade as a consequence of your show and take over and protect
that
us.
doesn't make any sense.
Well, but if they don't have a sense of humor, if they don't know
even
that
if they don't have a sense of humor,
Wait, I got to get right into that.
shit between truth and fiction, right?
evolved,
The three
hyper
body
intelligent,
What is that, Hannock?
and beyond ego and war.
The claim that there were 3 pilots found in a crashed craft?
Or they've bypassed all that, and now they're into science and exploration. And
Well, here's the question though: is like, would aliens have a sense of humor, right? Would they like be able to differentiate between truth and fiction, right? And so, like, for example, suppose they're sitting in their advanced alien base on Gemini 9 or whatever, and they're receiving 30 years, 20 years after the fact episodes of Fear Factor, right? And they think that you're actually like torturing people, and they figure that in order to preserve the human rights of humanity, they need to invade as a consequence of your show and take over and
That's
protect
that
us.
doesn't make any sense.
Well, but if they don't have a sense of humor,
That is honestly a good take. I don't think that's a bad take at all. If they don't have the gene of humor, they would think that we are the most ruthless fucking species in the universe.
if they don't know
Even
this,
if they don't have a sense of humor, they can clearly see that these people are in a contest.
why would they even have a concept of a contest? I mean, how silly is that? A serious species
It's competition.
wouldn't.
He's blowing Rogan's mind because all of these qualities Rogan is talking about is inherently human. Competition's great, but what the fuck is competition without the human element? Rogan is... It almost seems like he's purposely tripping up himself to have this guy correct him. He knows all this shit. Very weird.
do such things.
When was this? Wait, when was this podcast aired? Maybe this is old. This is from this week, right?
A serious species
It's competition.
wouldn't do such things.
But a serious species started out as a dumb species.
No, you're
unless they're magic.
you're hoping that they understand these things,
Yes.
because it would really suck to be the guy whose TV show caused the invasion. Right?
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Interesting. So what do we get to next? Do we discuss that? Do we watch something else? This is an interesting comment here. I think people truly underestimate how strange aliens could be. They might not have any equivalent to our emotions, sure. We have animals on Earth like that, but they might perceive the world with completely different senses that Earth had no utility for. Well, clearly they're coming here because they have some kind of bond with either our planet or our species, I think. Joe has this tendency of pushing back on his beliefs. I guess, let's read the article from the Discord. Okay. Where's the article at now? Which one? Oh, the Admiral. This is interesting. Okay. Let's pull this up. All right. Let me take a hit of my medicine here. Let's play some fucking music, huh? Let's get some X-Files going. Smooth. Pure moods. Holy shit, dude. It's about why the galaxy is empty. It fucking better not be. Let's see. Now you just made me depressed. Let's read this fucking article. Okay. UFOs are the story of the century. Wake Up America by Rear Admiral Tim Gaudette, opinion contributor for The Hill. Last week I had a front row seat at the hearing of the House Oversight and Accountability Committee's subcommittees on national security and the border and foreign affairs on unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP, also known as UFOs. 3 witnesses provided extraordinary testimony on their observation of aerial craft with performance characteristics far beyond those of modern aircraft, as well as knowledge of hidden U.S. government crash retrieval program of such vehicles and their non-human operators. The witnesses were former officers in the U.S. military with stellar service records. Their message to Congress was that we are not alone. We possess technology unlike anything available in the public or private sectors, and the U.S. government has covered up this earth-shattering information for decades. So how has our society responded? To quote an assessment in Forbes, the internet shrugged. After some brief reporting by the major news networks, they returned to their attention to nearly full-time coverage of the dismal legal landscapes surrounding Hunter Biden and Donald Trump. Perhaps the era of fake news has desensitized the public to remarkable revelations like these, so I feel compelled to share my perspective to shed light on their validity and implications. As a retired U.S. Navy officer, I can attest to the integrity and authenticity of the 2 pilots who testified, retired Commander David Fravor and Ryan Graves. I have served on 3 aircraft carriers and count many naval aviators as close friends. These 2 witnesses are the real deal. So is David Grusch. As a Navy information warfare officer, I work closely in the intelligence community and Grusch's former command, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. I too have been read into special access programs, and I understand how Department of Defense classification systems and authorities work. His testimony is 100% credible. Fucking Christ, Hannock. It may take time for society to come to grips with this historic hearing, but we will be best served by immediately responding as follows. The U.S. Congress should continue to demand the Department of Defense and Intelligence community disclose UAP information, data, and material to the public. The House Select Committee that reps Tim Burchett, he's the fucking man, Matt Gaetz, Anna Paulina Luna, Jared Moskowitz recently requested Speaker Kevin McCarthy can do this by further investigating the UAP cover-up described at the hearing and drafting legislation that directs disclosure. While specific technical characteristics regarding the materials and acquisition of the data may require that they remain classified, UAP should be included in other efforts by the Defense Department to solve U.S. government classification problem. I should do fucking Jesse Ventura's accent. The U.S. government should show leadership in international scientific UAP. All right, I'll stop. San Marino is proposing Project Titan. I'm sorry. To the United Nations Secretary General for this purpose. While the witness at the hearing highlighted the national security concerns that UAP represent, there is a global security issue as well. Not only do we lack technical data regarding their occurrence, we need to understand where they come from and who controls them and what their intentions are. Advancing our understanding of these phenomena can reinforce international alliances and can be used as leverage in resolving disputes. As the world leader in 20th century breakthroughs of nuclear power, information technology, and human exploration of the ocean and space, the United States has the opportunity to lead in a field with potentially more impactful than ever before it. The UAP research community should significantly expand the scientific study of unidentified aerial phenomenon. With more disclosure and international engagement, U.S. national labs in partnership with the American universities and research and the universe. Several U.S. research institutions are already making remarkable progress, including Harvard University's Galileo Project and Stanford University's Nolan Lab. Based on the observed flight characteristics detailed in the hearing, the results of this endeavor could make the scientific revolution of the 16th and 17th century look like baby steps with wide-ranging benefits in areas as diverse as transportation safety, agricultural productivity, energy efficiency, environmental stewardship, and human health. They're talking about fucking healing properties, guys. Motherfucking magic. Healing properties. Potions. Our tiny planet orbits a relatively medium-sized star in a galaxy over 100 billion stars, among a distribution of several hundred billion galaxies in the observable universe. How fucking arrogant to believe we are the only species that has developed a means for travel between celestial bodies. Now that we are finding out otherwise, we must demand disclosure from what the government knows instead of staying asleep at the wheel. We should wake up as society for the safety. We should wake up as a society for safety, security, and the scientific advantages that can be gained. Well, there you have it. What more can you fucking say at this point? What more can you fucking say at this point, right? What more can you say that... What really gets me pissed off nowadays, I'll tell you what pisses me off. I'll tell you what pisses me the fuck off are my introduction to skeptics on Twitter. This needs to be clipped because I don't really get pissed off at my age anymore. I'm a leaf-smoking American that doesn't really get worked up. But I'll tell you what, I got worked up this weekend. Because, well, quite frankly, a guy by the name of Mick West and Stephen Greenstreet they made a career out of grifting people by being a skeptic. And more importantly than that, they made a career about grifting people by being a skeptic about one particular topic, and that's UFOs. Man's telling us that it's happening and no one gives a fuck. What a time to be alive. I'm kind of relieved that nobody gives a fuck, because that gives disclosure a little bit more leeway to happen. Yeah, Mick West debunked my dick. That's what Mick West debunked. If I ever see that guy in person, I will fight him. I am not above going to jail at age 36 to beat up Mick West. I won't do it for any other reason. I'm not going to get road rage and go to jail over fucking spilt peanuts. No. I'm going to go to jail for beating the fucking piss out of Mick West at WrestleMania. Oh my God. You know what I'm saying? If I'm going to get in trouble, it's going to be for something really good, and it's going to be for beating the ever-loving piss out of Mick West and sending him back to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, okay? Because that's the only thing that dumb son of a bitch is remembered for. Because he's not a scientist, he's not a fucking politician, he's a dumb fucking retard. Let's just get that out of the way now. That has the same tools at his disposal that you or I do. Google and a fucking webcam, you dumb cocksucker Mick West. Why don't you debate me? Put him on. I will give him the pleasure of debating me on the topic, because I'm more read in than fucking Mick West has ever been read in. You know what I'm saying, Gloaming? Mick West is... Listen, if he wants to fight me, tell Mick West, hey Mick West, I'm going to take my fucking glasses off. Are you Australian? Are you British? Don't even answer that, because nobody gives a Frenchman's fuck about you, Mick West. Oh, but they didn't put their hand on the Bible in their sworn testimony. You know what? Fuck you, dude. If Mick West... Oh my God. I gotta put my glasses up because I can't see. If Mick West's army of brainless fans, that's what gets me going more than anything else, is that even though, Gloaming, they get ratioed on every Twitter post, they get ratioed more than anybody in the world, is Stephen Greenstreet and Mick West. They have followers in the comments section defending these cocksuckers. Imagine waking up every day and your job is to just say the word no. Imagine waking up. There's no way he's married. I guarantee you both of these fucking vermin are below 5'9". They weigh, who cares? You know, who cares what their characteristics are? Because all they do is just say no. But that's the life of a skeptic. Say no until you die. Well, how about no? How about no to that, Mick West, you dumb fucking retard? What else do we got, Hannock? Let's see what Ross Colehart says. Let's look at him real quick. He's a motherfucker of a reporter, okay? Let's just get this out of the way now. A motherfucker of a reporter in the best way possible. You know, Rogan questioning the fact that no other news network is covering this because they're all wrapped up in propaganda of Hunter Biden and Donald Trump. Mike, what's up, dog? This is Ross Colehart. And the only news agency that's willing to break this story is this upstart news agency that isn't really as small as people think. Chris Cuomo's there, and he's doing a lot better than he was at CNN. And let's see what he says here, Mike. Well, let's read the comment from Liberation Times. New pressure mounts on House Intelligence Chairman following dismissive and baffling approach to credible and urgent UFO whistleblower allegations. This guy is denying the allegations. I'm going to fight this fucking guy too. He's in the Woodward and Bernstein of his generation. Is that Ben and Jerry? Is that Ben and Jerry's last name? the Jewish ice cream makers? Woodward and Bernstein ice cream? Anyway, Ross Colhart says, why won't the chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, Representative Mike Turner, meet UAP whistleblower David Grusch to follow up on the evidence Grusch has already provided? And oh wow, so Grusch was already in a skiff with Congress. Grusch already spilled the fucking beans, apparently. Team Stolen Land. Yeah, did you see that shit Ben and Jerry's got into on Twitter? On the 4th of July, they tweeted that America shouldn't celebrate this day because it's founded on stolen land. It was the most ratioed tweet in the history of Twitter. And it turns out their Ben and Jerry's factory is built on a fucking Indian reserve. And it got to the point where Indian spokespeople, like Indian politicians, like, I don't know, the guys from that show, Yellowstone, like those type of Indians, the ones that walk around in suits and shit, they cast spells. Anyway, everything, Gloaming says, everything Rush knows was handed over to IG, and I think the Intelligence Select Committee, right. So, and he also spoke to a lot of these politicians in private in their own skiff, which that's weird. I'll tell you what the problem is. I had the epiphany a while ago, and we're going to go to this portion of the story because I think it's a big focal point that everybody's missing, and it's the Vatican. The problem is we are ran by a country. We're ran by people that are very God-fearing people, and they actually believe that these aliens, these UAPs, are demons. What's going on with Battlefield right now? Battlefield's never trending, and it's got 16,000 tweets. I just want to see what the fuck is going on, if they announce the new Battlefield game or not. Latest. What is this? Fight legendary monsters in epic battles. Atlas Fallen. All right, anyway, let's go to Lazar. I get sidetracked. A message from Bob Lazar on July 30th.
Hi, I'm Luigi Venditelli. And I'm Bob Lazar. And we're in Montreal on the set of Project Gravator. 2 days ago was a congressional hearing in Washington, D.C., which is making news around the world. And if you had one comment to say, Bob, on this congressional hearing, what would it be? I told you so.
I told you so. Everything Bob corroborated, every claim he made since 1989 has been confirmed by not only their sworn testimony, but every eyewitness testimony of these craft describes the exact propulsion method that Bob Lazar claimed to work on at Area S4. I've been going back and forth on this topic my entire life. And up until recently, I believed that, like, this shit isn't real. Like, maybe it's just a fun fucking thing to think about. And it turns out this is real as fuck. And it's really happening. And according to Eric Weinstein, these fucking UFOs are screaming in from behind our satellites. And they're finding routes to fucking get here. And apparently they're going right into our fucking oceans. Let's see what else is trending. UFO X is trending. Look at this shit. There were bases he told. Buzz Aldrin claimed this too. Says there were bases he told us. All right, so let's read this real quick. There were bases. How's my voice quality, by the way? Am I too loud? Is it too sensitive? Am I picking up background information? There were bases, he told us. Weinstein has been... So, I feel like Weinstein is coming from a place of good, though. His skepticism is, all right, there's clearly something going on because we're, stovepiping research on these UFOs. And his skepticism is, why aren't we putting our best minds on this topic and having actual research done instead of this compartmentalized stovepiping that Bob Lazar was doing when he was trying to reverse engineer the propulsion system. Your locations is being triangulated as we speak by the dudes trying to get Grusch. So what I hope is that these guys... It's funny how Grusch is the only one of the three that's getting harassed. And he claimed that him and his wife's lives were threatened by these agencies. Gloaming says, I've personally seen a UAP. Looked like a satellite until it started the crazy movement and sped just like the Tic Tacs we've heard about. So I know they're 100% real. I just want to know what the fuck they are. Unbelievable, Gloaming. I believe you, man. I have weird moments because, living near a military base, you get really accustomed to seeing weird shit in the sky. And they do a lot of their stealth flight tests at night. And they fly low. And there are so many times I'm sitting outside my porch on the backyard, and I'm looking up, and I'm seeing a stealth bomber. I'm seeing a B-2 bomber, and I'm saying to myself, if any other person saw this, they would call 311. Remember 311 back in the day in New York? Do you guys remember that? It was this bullshit Fugazi UFO hotline, and it never amounted to anything. But North Jersey, Hannock, is... let's talk about this real quick. North Bergen, New Jersey, that part of New Jersey is the biggest UFO hotspot in the world. Oh, we got a new Matt and Shane's podcast, huh? Let's hear how I was saying. Oh, we got a new... okay, I sound pretty good. Great. Did you... Hannock, let me talk to you about this. We have to watch this, guys. This ain't no bullshit. This fucking podcast. This is crazy, dude. First of all, I have UFO footage that I need to fucking show you guys that is getting a lot of views, but it didn't go viral for some reason because it was, Mike, it was one of those videos like where it was uploaded to a no-name YouTube account. There was no signs of, fuckery. I'm trying to find it now. It was from. I gotta look in our chat because it's so hard to fucking find when. Because there's no title. It's just the. All right, I know where to go now. Did you see the Reddit post? Look at this fucking guy. Oh my god. Joe Patillo looks like a fucking potato. All right. Here it is. I found it. Let me read through chat. I personally, okay. New weaponized podcast. Not that one. This fucking shit. What the fuck is that? That's a cloaking device, dude. What the fuck, man? This is some of the best footage I've seen. What the fuck? It's doing reconnaissance. It's observing. It's clearly a fucking craft. What do you think about that one? Goku looking for a parking spot. What? I came across this on YouTube randomly. And look at the ratio. 23,000 upvotes to only 864 dislikes. This guy's legit. Yeah. But look, only 480p on a new phone. Good point. But uploaded on an account that is... You know, how old is it? From 2006. It's a fucking 20-year-old account. Huh? I don't know. Usually, this is the shit that throws me off. What did this guy post 3 weeks ago? What is this guy showing? This guy's got fucking meth heads. That does seem legit. It seems like it was filmed in Philly. Does it? Does that seem like it was filmed in Philadelphia? That looks like Philly, right? Imagine seeing that and like knowing what you're seeing is happening, but nobody would fucking believe you if you told them. I watched Oppenheimer, Hannock, hoping to see a little fucking UFO Easter egg. They kind of did. What is it, though? Why is it? You know?
Sparkly lights in it. I've never seen no shit like that. Moving weird. You know, you see the sparkling lights in it. Never seen no shit like this in my life.
The one from the other day where the jet was chasing... Where's that at? The jet was chasing an orb. I think I saw that one. Let's go on Twitter. Let's go on the X app. This fucking cocksucker, man. Check Discord. Copy that. Okay. Oh, shit. This looks crazy.
Dog, are you seeing this? Bro, my heart just sank.
What the fuck?
Dog, did you just see that?
I don't know.
Dude, I got all of that on video.
And where the fuck did the jets go? I don't know about that one. The jets are just flying near them. Okay.
Dog,
Did you hear the sound it made, though? Holy shit. Apparently, these UFOs, Hannock, have a small force field around it. And there was a pilot that flew too close to it and it disintegrated his aircraft. It just vaporized him. And this force field that is being used is what protects the pilots from the crazy amount of G-force that those high speeds would produce, which explains how they're able to fly as fast as they fucking do without being splattered on the fucking floorboard of the UAP. What do you think? This cocksucker, man. I'm gonna retweet this shit right here.
Dog, are you seeing this? Bro, my heart just sank.
I mean, they are showing themselves, you know? This is what that is. If this is real, this is their way of saying, like, we're here, we're not hostile, but we're watching you. You ain't going to do shit. We're going to keep watching you. You're not going to chase us. We're just going to run away. We're going to use maneuvers that doesn't even exist in our physics yet. And we're going to fuck with you. We're going to go back to your cap point. We're going to jam your fucking radar. We're going to let you know that we are the superior. Because what I find interesting is that they're not hostile, but it seems like they will defend themselves if attacked. I think that there is a common DNA that we share. We're, I think, brothers in some kind of Homo sapien way. And that's the thing. They might just be drones watching for how... Well, either way, well, this is what I read. This is very interesting. That's the thing. They might be just drones watching how far along we are till the reinforcements arrive. I.e., three-body problem. What does that mean, dude? Can you explain what the three-body problem is? Share a link in chat, dog, because I don't even know what that is, but it sounds crazy. What is the three-body problem? But I'm hearing that these drones, see, you're thinking that drones are unmanned. No, our drones are unmanned. These drones are manned by basically they're throwaway beings. All right, let's see. So if they do crash, they're expendable. Oh, the three-body problem. Okay, let's see.
It's Quinn here. If you enjoy my videos, consider hitting the like button. It's the only way the YouTube problem series with minimal spoilers. The Three-Body Problem is the first book in a series of science fiction books called The...
Nothing living can fit... See, this is what is... The shit that gets into magic realm and where I lose a lot of my friends when I talk about this stuff. And I understand why it's like... Because it sounds crazy. It is crazy. There's reports of this crash retrieval program. One of these soldiers that stepped into the craft, it was on the outside 40 feet long. When he walked into it, it was the size of a fucking football field. What are they doing to distort space and time that way? They're working with tools and physics that aren't part of our makeup yet. So my question is the Mosul orb just a... I don't know why that's significant, honestly. It looks like a fucking drone, like a handheld radio-controlled drone. Can I tell you, this might get me in trouble. I'm not even kidding about this. I haven't seen a UAP, but I have family members that work in the Defense Department. And I won't give a name. I won't say who or what. I won't even give you a gender. but I'm close with this person. Very close. He does weapons testing. He tests all types of explosives and gadgets and new tech that the military introduces. And I'll get to this video right after I tell this story. At the previous family gathering, he confided to me something after a couple of bottles of, liquor, wine, some leaf, some Brotherhood of the Leaf, if you will. And this was in 2009, he said this was. And I already gave away the fact that I said it was a he. Anyway, he was at work in 2009. He was just newly on the job. And relax, they're still triangulating, I know. He was, and I completely believe this. He has no reason to lie. I trust this guy quite a bit. He's a sharp guy too. One of his coworkers in this testing facility sat down next to him. He didn't say a word. This happened frequently when they would bring in top secret devices. It's not really something they could verbalize, but since they're in this top secret, it's like a building. It's a government building. They could. It's an area for them to take out their devices and show them to their colleagues. It's their way of negating the stovepiping problem that happens with this kind of research. He told me, and this blew my fucking mind, if you guys remember the horror movie Phantasm, okay? I know if my buddy Brad is watching, he knows this movie. I know the movie. The horror movie is about a radio-controlled orb, right? Orbs of death, gloaming nose. And this movie was made in the 60s or 70s. Old horror movie. Anyway, my close family member tells me that this guy sits next to him, opens this box, and he described the box as, do you remember those stress balls they used to sell in New York City growing up? On like 42nd Street, they would sell these Asian balls. They would have like chimes inside them, and you'd twist them in your hand for like stress relief. It was quasi feng shui bullshit. But my mother bought that weird shit. You know, she was into that fucking crazy. And you just move them. So he sits down, opens this box, takes out, it wasn't even a remote. He opened this box. It was like a jewelry box with this orb in it. It flies upright. My family members watching it. It flies out of the box, and now it's flying around the interior of the building. Completely wireless and unmanned. He's watching this thing go around the office space. It goes outside the building for a second. It goes 2 feet outside the door, but then comes right back in and navigates the office again and goes right back into the box. The guy closed it up, and he never talked to the guy about it again. That was in 2009. And that's what that Mosul orb reminds me of. Just very advanced military reconnaissance technology. That's all that is. And I don't understand why Corbell is really that hung up on that video, because it doesn't show dick. But it's well within our capacity, but it's right on the cutting edge, gloaming. Meaning, like, if that's on the cutting edge in 2009, you know, what's on the cutting edge in these Black Ops programs?
With minimal spoilers. The Three-Body Problem is the first book in a series of science fiction books called The Remembrance of Earth's Past by Cixin Liu. The Three-Body Problem was originally published in Chinese in 2008 and was republished in English in 2014. The following books, The Dark Forest and Death's End, were also translated and published in English in the 2 years following the original English publication of the first. I've described this book series as one of the scariest that I've ever read, but I don't mean scary in a traditional sense. It's more existentially terrifying. And Death's End were also translated and published in English in the 2 years following the original English publication of the first.
I'm gonna have to get this book.
I've described this book series as one of the scariest that I've ever read, but I don't mean scary in a traditional sense. It's more existentially terrifying because of the questions that it brings up about the nature of our universe and about what the potential answers to these questions say about our place in it. I also enjoy the fact that these books were written by a Chinese author because it provides a unique cultural perspective that is dissimilar to what we typically see in Western science fiction. It is a series that keeps you on your toes and keeps you guessing as to what will happen next. The book follows a few different characters as human society evolves and changes following the revelation that an alien race from beyond the stars has set its eyes upon the Earth and would arrive within the span of several hundred years. We get to witness as various humans react to this knowledge in different ways, and we also get to see the movement of the human organism as a whole. A very interesting fact about human society is that sometimes we act as a superorganism, an organism that is independent of any individual as a whole. A very interesting fact about human society is that sometimes we act as a superorganism, an organism that is independent of any individual. This series does a good job of highlighting this fact. The concept of cosmic sociology is also a big part of these books. If alien life exists, then what is society amongst different races of alien beings like? Was it actually anything like we typically dreamed of in our science fiction? The optimism of Star Trek, the multi-species worlds of Star Wars. Was interspecies galactic civilization even a possibility? Or was the reality of cosmic society more terrible than we ever could have imagined? The exploration of these ideas is at the center of this book series. As the books go on, humankind begins to understand previously unknown facts about the current and former nature of the universe. The universe was in fact riddled with cosmic secrets waiting to be uncovered. The series eventually proposes a potential solution to the famous Fermi paradox, which asks the question, if life in the cosmos based on what we currently know should be relatively common, then why don't we see said life? The dark and silent universe itself acts as an ominous backdrop to the series at all times, invoking the question, what is out there? As the books go on, we begin to uncover facts about the multidimensionality of space. What was beyond the third dimension? Could life exist in the second dimension? These books are also about the legacy of humankind. Nothing is permanent. Everything eventually dies. But what do we leave behind? Will we survive the destruction of our sun? Will we as a species outlive our own solar system? Can we contend with the harshness of the cosmos itself and the reality of cosmic society? These books are a journey, and I can almost guarantee you that once you read them, you won't be able to stop thinking about them for weeks or even months. Alright, so there you go. The 3 by...
That sounds incredible. I might have to pick that up. Right. So he didn't put it on, it's on Spotify, is it? Wow, Ron Paul was taking a photo with him. There's David Grusch. That's awesome. I'm so proud of these fucking guys, all three of them. Wow. I'm glad Ryan Graves shaved his head. Looks way better. Did you, hey, Hannock, did you hear the internet rumor that Stephen Greer, weaponized, okay. Stephen Greer is a reptilian? Oh, shit.
The technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had. And you could put that anywhere.
Got a feeling we're going to get a surprise Grusch podcast with Rogan if the House committee. Yes. I think so too. Crazy shit.
We have nothing
dude.
that can
This is
stop in
fucking
midair and
nuts.
go the other direction, nor do we have anything that can, like in our situation, come down from space, hang out for 3 hours, and go back up.
We would see these objects being at 0.0 Mach. That's zero airspeed over certain pieces of the ground. So what that means, just like a river, if you throw a bobber in, it's going to float downstream. These objects were staying completely stationary in Category 4 hurricane winds.
Like George Knapp breaking Area 51, he's the reason I knew about that.
Biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
We are in a new age. I never thought I would see this, ever, in my life.
Dave Grusch will be remembered as, you know, and still be remembered and still be honoured as a great American, a patriot, who played a huge role in bringing...
Look at who was sitting behind them when they testified. James Clapper, head of the CIA and Inspector General. Wow. I don't trust that guy as far as I could throw him, but it's good that he's there. Problem with people like James Clapper is... And this is... I'm getting tripped up into the same thing Rogan was. We have such distrust for our government. Our first question is, what's the play? What's the... We know we're going to get swerved. We have people like AOC and James Clapper there, basically on CNN's payroll. But I think the silver lining is, we have to continue to focus on it, is the fact that...
to light an absolute...
Democrats and Republicans are actually coming together on this. That's a huge thing to...
Secrets, cover-ups, and strange phenomena.
U.S. time.
Look at
that others
probably shouldn't.
We're doing things a little bit differently this week. Jeremy and I are still here in Washington, D.C., where some major things unfolded this week that we will be discussing today. I am here in, he said it was a Motel 6, which was the best room that Jeremy could book for me. He's at the Ritz-Carlton, I believe, or maybe it's the Waldorf Astoria. I don't know.
Let's just say it's not too bad here. Probably the nicest hotel we have ever or will ever stay in.
This is the best he could do for me. We're going to do a roundtable today, a discussion with a couple of our closest friends. As anyone who follows the UFO world knows, that it is a planet that is populated by locusts and reptiles and vampires. But there are also some really solid journalists, investigators, reporters, podcasters, a very small group that we consider to be good friends, honorable people, and they are joining us today. Ross Coulthart is one of the premier investigators and reporters in the world. He's won national awards in Australia and other places, and he's broken a really big story this year that we're going to talk about. Bryce Zabel has been a friend of mine for a long time. He's a writer, producer, ex-reporter, and podcaster. These are two guys that we feel kinship with because they have their own podcast called Need to Know. We watch it all the time. We hope other people watch it as well. Ross, Bryce, thanks for joining us on Weaponize.
Lovely to be here, guys. It's a real pleasure.
Guys, it is good to be here. Ross and I were talking about it, and Jeremy as well. It's kind of like the DC versus Marvel crossover. You get Superman and Thor on the same screen at the same time. It's very nice.
This was Bryce's idea that we should get together, and it was a great idea because we do feel a kinship with you guys. The stuff that you do is the same kind of things that we try to do, and it's just top notch. And I hope that Weaponized viewers will go ahead and check out Need to Know as well. And we'll give them plenty of reasons to do that in the course of this conversation. Jeremy, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I just want to celebrate, guys. I mean, we had a historic moment. So first of all, Bryce, Ross, George, join me in a cheers, even if you don't have one.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry, it's early here in DC. There we go. Here's the deal, guys. I'm so excited. You know, I have just full transparency. I've been a fan of this UFO topic since I heard George on the radio in 1989 talking about something that was not cool to talk about. And it was surreal for me to be part of this, to try to help nurture what we saw historically yesterday, and then to look at the expression on George's face when what he had been talking about 30 whatever years ago was coming to fruition.
With G-Man in DC.
Hey, thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Appreciate it.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, George?
Secret meetings. Tons of secret meetings.
You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
On Capitol Hill today, a bipartisan call for more government transparency on UFOs, or as the military calls them, unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs. 3 retired military veterans testified before a House subcommittee. One was asked about alien bodies.
And Jeremy Corbell is a documentary filmmaker who played a big role in bringing these questions to the public.
He's a whistleblower. He is exposing something that's been going on a long time. And I'll tell you, I was there all day, days before, helped set this up. They wouldn't allow for a security.
Like they could solve both problems by saying we're making a new fighter. This is what people are not seeing. The real benefit we will get as humanity, the benefit we would get from implementing this technology in our everyday lives is so beneficial and world-changing, and the problem comes from money. Big oil fighting over natural resources will cease to exist. A small little box of this propulsion system, this gravity bending propulsion system, if it's implemented correctly and reverse engineered, which they've already done, it could run your car with no fuel forever. It could empower an entire town forever with no carbon emissions, with no carbon footprint. It is a world-changing benefit. Can you imagine a world where there's no war? Because war only happens under the fighting of resources, fuel, energy, oil. I think the fact that war makes these people so much fucking money that they are unwilling to let this secret out of the bag because they're willing to sacrifice humanity for the sake of making $1. And that's just the root cause of the human problem. Let's see. Gloaming says, what I struggle to get my mind around is why the Pentagon keeps silent. So, like, they could solve both problems by saying we're making a new fighter, details classified, but this is how much. Right. Well, nobody would believe that report anyway, even if they said this is what we're spending it on. I think the issue is that regardless of the violence that religion has already brought upon Earth, a world full of people that don't believe in religion is infinitely more violent. That is very true. That is extremely true. Wow. That is part of the problem with another human-based problem is our undying faith into religions, a faith that was based on a 5,000-year-old comic book. I mean, if you want to think about it objectively, I'm closer to being Batman than a white guy walking on water. It's more likely for me to be a billionaire philanthropist, crime fighter, vigilante, than it is to watch a white guy with long blonde hair with dirty feet walk on water. That's not to say I don't believe in that stuff and I don't believe that Jesus exists. I do believe that. But I also believe in the fact that humans are inherently exaggerators. And as stories get told over time, small tales get turned into tall tales, and tall tales get turned into myths, and myths get turned into magic. And magic is what you get when you say all of the animals on Earth fit onto one little boat. That's gay, number one. That's fake and gay. And number two, it's physically impossible. Unless that Noah's Ark ship is using the same technology UAPs use when it's small on the outside and then you walk into it and it's the size of a fucking planet. I don't know. I don't know the answers. I just have the questions. But the fact that the Vatican has more information on this than anybody, I think is, I think it's proof that it's not good to follow the Bible word for word. It's good to follow it in your own interpretation. And I think that's where humanity benefited the most, is when you follow it, because there's good and amazing messages you could live your life by in the Bible. But I watch news reporters today. Varney, who I like, he's on Fox Business. He's a good reporter. He does stocks and stuff. Not a political guy. He's British. They brought up the UFO topic, and Varney said, if it's not in the Bible, I don't believe it. That is a crazy stance to have at 65 years old. You're a grown adult and you're refusing to believe reality about any topic, like, because of a book? Like, that's the shit that's gonna end the fucking world, that fucking dumb attitude. Like, you have to be open-minded. And people that are religious, that are also open-minded, I think are going to benefit greatly from this. I think if aliens really showed themselves, society breaks down. I think maybe in the 1960s that would have happened, but people my age today, nobody's religious anymore. No, but there's a poll, millions of people took this poll. I forgot, I have to look it up. But over 80% of people believe that we are not alone. So if 80% of people polled believe we're not alone, that has to account for religious people also. Because a lot of people are still religious. And the fact that the Catholic Church might be the biggest archive on this topic, I think is
secure facility for him
proof
to
that
speak.
this is
just today. So
this is
you have to
something
understand,
else.
it's only shocking if you haven't been paying attention. Today was a historic day, Gotti, and I think you understand why.
What's over there, George?
There's a 5-sided building, the world's largest office building. You might have heard of it.
Does George Knapp know how to
It's
drive?
where
I don't
we
think so.
grifters, we work there. They pay us.
Cool.
At the same time, to have you guys on here, and people do have a need to know, not just a right to know. And you have aptly named your podcast Need to Know. And I'm a fan.
That's an interesting thing you said. More than 80% of society has decorum because they want to go to the other side. You think so? I don't want to die. But I guess people that are of the firm belief that they go on after death. Well, even Jewish people gloaming.
Fan of it. I've been watching it, and we are all friends.
They alter the rules as they go, which is great. Some Jewish people drive on Saturdays because fuck it. Well, some people got to eat.
We're not interviewing you. You're not interviewing us. We're just going to talk about this in real time so others can join us in this and say, what are we seeing? What do we know? What else do we have a need to know? So with that said, guys, thanks so much for letting me participate. Let's do this.
Jeremy, the first thing I would say is I was watching you guys sit in the front row of that. And I was kind of swelling with a little pride, too, to see the two of you able to, well, first of all, as any PR person would know, you were in every shot. It was fantastic. But the one thing I would say to you, George, is you looked like the guy on the airplane who got the middle seat between two reasonably large people. Those were tiny seats. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're absolutely right. Bryce, I appreciate you're the only person on all of social media to really care about what I was going through. As I told you, responding to your tweet, I think if I had lasted 10 more minutes in those seats, that rigor mortis would have set in on both of my butt cheeks, because I was crowded in there, and I'm a little claustrophobic to begin with. But it was no accident we got those seats. Jeremy can tell us how we went about getting those.
So the thing is that the reality of this, just to be fully transparent, this was something that I was helping to organize from the initial thought of this, having this hearing. It was a fight to make sure that, can you imagine? It was a fight to make sure people were put under oath. That's a fight I had to personally engage in. All the witnesses.
I'm so pleased you did that, Jeremy. It was so important. I actually had a little tear in my eye when I saw Dave stand and lift his hand. It was so special. Yeah.
So to be clear, all the witnesses wanted to be put under oath, not just symbolically, but they wanted it on record under oath. But it was so strange, the internal combativeness, I'm not going to name names, but within these committees, subcommittees, it was amazing. So that was a huge win, to get everybody under oath. And I don't think it's any secret that, I created an opportunity to be able to get the right people there. Now, with that said, the seating thing was, my fight was to make sure that Dave Grusch's lawyer, the former ICIG, who I know you guys know, but for our audience, right, Chuck McCullough, was sitting behind his client. That should seem to everybody in the world as the appropriate position. So that was set up before. It's like, make sure that Chuck is behind Dave because he's his representation. Now, I know they fought that as well, but in reality, once you get in a room, it's like very strange what people.
Like, it's like, what's the point of being good if there's no benefit? I'm telling you, society breaks down like the three-body problem states. What does interstellar society sociology look like? Even the non-religious believe in karma. That's very true. I do. What if a large swath of the public just stop believing in all of it? That's a dangerous and violent society that no government can control. It's interesting, man. There's just no way to know. That's right. I saw an interesting comment, Hannock, on Twitter yesterday, and it really lessened my excitement and put it in a more daunting perspective, because some guy just questioned on Twitter that, what if you UFO freaks, have you ever thought that once there is an interplanetary species that makes themselves known, did you ever think that it might not be a good thing? And he didn't elaborate on it, but we all knew what he meant. And part of that is the belief in a religion, you know? But I guess the real question is, how many people are hanging their lives on religion for the sole purpose of them being good people? If you ask me, you're not a good person to begin with. And if that is teetering you on the precipice of violence, then you should fucking die anyway. Why don't you end it now and meet your maker a little quicker? Meet your maker, the Undertaker. And I don't really have much respect for people that live their lives by literature, whether it be good or bad, because I don't need a fucking book to tell me to be a good person. I just am. And I don't need a book to tell me that I'm going to go somewhere bad if I don't pretend to be good. No, I'm just genuinely good because I don't give a Frenchman's fuck. I don't really care. I'm not saying there is a hell or a heaven or there isn't. I'm ready for the fact that there is. But my life hasn't been fucking great at all. My mother died when she was 40. So if that's his doing, I got a fucking bone to pick with that guy. And I'm going to cut a promo on him when I get up there. If I get up there. But I don't lose sleep on on some fucking guy that, you know, sees me when I'm sleeping and knows when I'm awake, you know. I don't operate in that realm. I'm much more inclined to believe in aliens than believe in that shit at this point. If we're going to poll what's real and what's fake, let's poll the world on what they think is true or not.
People try to do to diminish, disqualify, try to divert attention, whatever. I'm really glad that Chuck was behind his client, David Grusch. But why that's important, just because I need to make sure our audience...
That's what those bodies are about. Maybe the galaxy is empty because there's a big dog alien race that destroys all the rest. Alter
the visual and understanding perception of what's actually going on, to the point where they're not even giving skips out to people that have stuff to say, which we'll talk about later. So just the idea of what people are seeing, because you know how debunkers are. They take one shot of an empty room, because what happens is, like, AOC has to get up and leave the room for an important call for like a few minutes and come back. So there are times when it looks empty up there, but man, people were coming in and out, and I knew what debunkers would do. There was an overflow room with like 150 people packed. People came from all around the world to be there.
I think Mick West and Stephen Greenstreet are paid fucking DOD operatives. That's what I think. And I'd put fucking money on it, that they're paid disinformation agents. Stephen Greenstreet.
Because I think people are scared of me. That's why I didn't put George.
They have to have former DOD. I could smell it on them, dude. I could smell the fucking Hitler Youth haircut fed.
Well, actually, Jeremy, one quick thought on that. I'm not a debunker, but I was watching it closely, and there was never any sense on my part that it wasn't a jammed, packed house. What was interesting for me, though,
Greer,
as I continue to watch it.
What do you think? This is a big revelation for me, Hannick. What about Greer is fraudulent? Because I feel like he is one of the, I just discovered him like maybe a year ago. So I'm like all on board with him, but is it the remote viewing that throws you off? Because that seems to throw a lot of people off, and they hear remote viewing and they throw their hands up and they say, you know, this is fake bullshit. Greer puts out so much bizarre shit that he put out shit. Yeah, it's shit that's unverifiable. Like, he said something in his documentary that I thought was really crazy. But I have a theory about this, and I'll tell you in a second. When he was an OR, he was a trauma doctor. He claimed that a guy died in his operating room, and drawers and shit around the room started flying because it was Stephen Greer claims it was his ghost that was angry at the fact that Greer couldn't save him, and the guy just died and his soul was in this perfect frequency where he could still interact with the 3D world. That's shit that's like, all right, maybe this is what I think, and here's what I think is going on with Greer. He has that hitchhiker effect that people are getting at the Skinwalker Ranch, and he has this gift. I have a friend. I'm not going to tell his name, but they thought he was schizophrenic. His family thought he was full-blown schizophrenic, dude. And I know John. I'm not going to give his last name. And they brought him to all sorts of psychiatrists, and finally they didn't know he didn't have the chemical imbalance. There was nothing wrong with him. The doctor finally recommended he go to a psychic medium. And it turns out, according to him,
by the time I got
he's got this gift to communicate with the afterlife.
It looked like a typical congressional committee.
It sounds
where there's
fucking
fewer and
crazy,
fewer
but
people, and by the end
I had him contact my mom.
A lot of seats of
So I don't know, man.
congressmen were gone. I mean, were empty. And I thought, you know, for crying out loud, if you're talking about what may be the biggest story ever, and information that we're actually not alone in the universe, and confirming it in the halls of Congress, it did seem strange to me that so many congressmen and women.
Yeah. I just listened to that show a couple of months ago. It sounded real to me.
Had other things to do in a short meeting.
Have you ever been to a congressional hearing?
Oh yeah, I mean,
okay. So so what happens is though, like AOC, I watched, and I know some folks that were dealing with it. She'd have to get up and go do something.
That's interesting. The satellite link went down mid-call. They had no internet, and it never happened before. Right? If you get close to the truth, even jokingly, they will react. So, Gloaming, what do you think this is about? Why are they so? Because according to, I mean, the fact that a group of people is deciding what humanity should benefit from is fucking bullshit. If you want to thump your fucking Bible at home with your fucking church on Wednesday nights like a druid, do that in your own fucking time. In the meantime, give me free gas. Give me no war. You know, we don't know what we don't know. And the fact that we have record, we have hundreds of years of history of wars being fought over religion. Sorry. Middle East, Catholicism, you name it. All throughout fucking human history, we're fighting over religion. I'm willing to try out something different. How about none? How about no religion? Let's try it for a year. Let's sign up with the fucking payment plan, try it for the year, see how we like it. I'm okay with trying new things. Are you guys?
They didn't know.
We've lived a certain way in humanity for a long time. And, you know, for a lot of people, it hasn't worked out that great because, you know, you can't tell a non-religious person that had a fucked up life that they're wrong. Because if they're wrong and Jesus, you know, for example, killed an infant, kids die of cancer all the time. You're going to tell me that's God's doing? Or are you going to use some fucking weaselly way to claim that, you know, that's not Jesus' doing? Well, I don't know, man. Is it his doing or not? Because if he's the be-all, end-all, he has the power to prevent kids from dying.
How huge?
According to these claims, these UFOs, this technology has fucking healing properties. Healing properties. I'm not talking about the Miss Cleo kind of healing either.
This was going to be until that moment. So,
see, that's the problem. I can't respect people that are that steadfast in a belief about anything, especially religion. If you want to thump your Bible and you want to watch Christian fucking mingle.com and you want to do that shit, do it on your own time. But don't force feed your fucking God-fearing bullshit on me. Because I don't fear God. I fear no man or God. And I'm not saying that as a fucking If he exists, fine. I was brought up Catholic, but I'm going to enjoy my time while I'm here. I'm going to curse. I'm going to enjoy my marijuana. And I'm going to drink, and I'm probably going to cheat on someone. So right off the bat, I committed all fucking, broke all 10 commandments. Sorry, I don't know. Like,
really, you see people come in and out and jump in. They were fighting to be there.
It was interesting that they added a couple of people who were not on the committee.
Or they just do what the Vatican has been doing, and they're rewriting the Bible. This way it's an easy rollout for people to accept it, I think.
Special request. Matt Gaetz is not on that committee. AOC, I don't think, is on it, but they added, with permission of the body, a couple of people who were not on the committee who just wanted
You would need to pull some Project Bluebeam Religious Edition where you recreate
Tim Burchett told us was they had more media
That's
requests for this hearing than anything else that's happened this year. Pretty interesting. Ross, I would like to get a sense of you watching this in Australia, the sense of pride you must have had to see Dave Grusch there in the middle, spilling the beans, the stuff that he had told you and Bryce before. How did you feel?
It was actually quite emotional. I mean, you guys, I mean, George, you understand, and Jeremy, I'm sure you do as well, as does Bryce, the relationship that you build with sources as you tell a story, and the responsibility, the awful responsibility you feel as a journalist in shepherding somebody to the point where they go public with information. It's so stressful. It's such a horrendous experience because you worry all the time. And I'm sure Dave wouldn't mind me mentioning this, but at one stage a while back, I had an opportunity to speak to his mum. And when I realized he was going to be okay? His mum. She's such a lovely woman. She's a really good, strong, loving mum who's so proud of her son. And she just wanted to say thank you because she's watched everything that I've said, because I felt it really important, because there's been such a concerted, very deliberate and quite malicious attempt by certain debunkers to try and undermine Dave by ridiculous crap, about his body language and all of that sort of stuff. And so I just thought it was really important to get out there in a proactive way as a journalist and just explain who he is, why it's so important that he be acknowledged as a person of great reputation. And I have to be honest, I didn't realize that she'd watched every single one of the presentations that I'd done, and she knew them all. She could speak to each of them. And I just think, look, the guy is a hero. And I think the strong sense I had, George, watching on from Australia, was an enormous sense of unfolding history. Okay, he wasn't able to say a great deal that he hadn't already said to me in the interview. In fact, he said less than he said to me in the interview. But the overwhelming sense that I had was one of pride and an enormous sense that history was unfolding, because I reckon probably in 10 years' time, 10 years' time, or probably even earlier, Dave Grusch will be remembered as, and still be remembered and still be honored as a great American, a patriot who played a huge role in bringing to light an absolute criminal scandal. I mean, I am gobsmacked. I mean, you just stop me now before I go off on a rant.
No, I want to ask you a direct question. So are all Australians as straight to the balls like you are in interviews?
My wife tells me I swear too much on the podcast, so I'm actually going to be polite because basically, apparently there's a meme out there where I say "fuck 'em," and
it's the greatest. It's almost as good as George's ice stick meme that was put out. It's really great. Hey, but guys, so Bryce, I want to come to you quick. By the way, Ross, when you came to my secret location, I call my home, my secret home, and we talked, I knew immediately, we talked about George Knapp's history in this and how you are, who you are in reporting in Australia, how you've put yourself into that position of trying to find out the truth, and you put your reputation on the line. And I know you and George can really relate to each other on that level. I think, look, I have no problem because I don't have a reputation to kill. But Bryce, you've been involved in this for a long time. And from what I know, you did like a secret recording with Dave Grusch prior to the one that you and Ross released, that is the official one. And I know that one won't see the light of day and it didn't say anything different, but I know that you were a big part of this. And I want to both honor that because I haven't seen your face a lot about this. And I know you and Ross have worked really hard together on this. Can you tell me from your perspective, what is it like for you being so involved in the UFO topic for so many decades now, where you and Ross are working together and you have this secret recording before, which again, is never getting out and you're never showing it, but it's really the same stuff. But you guys really protected Dave together and you're protecting him as a human, whether or not you at that moment believe him, if you've done your vetting or not, you were part of that. And I want to hear from your perspective, because you've been involved for so long with the UFO thing, and I've always admired your work. Please tell us what that's like. Tell us what's going on.
Gentlemen, look, you're all being kind. I look at the three of you as primary movers and shakers on the Dave Grusch story. I'm a secondary player on it, and I'm lucky to have had my moment to observe history. But this is Ross's story that he broke in terms of putting Dave Grusch on camera. And you guys, of course, knew Dave Grusch going back, I believe, well over a year. And so a lot of other people broke the Grusch story. The three of you, also Leslie Kane and Ralph Blumenthal. And I was lucky to be at Ross's side and sort of his wingman for the final part of it. So you're all being very kind, but you guys, really, the credit goes there.
Okay, but I'm asking what
I get it. I get it. I just wanted to make sure that I'm not standing on the same field as the three of you in that regard. But listen, here's what happened, and the story's been told, but Grusch came into town on May 8th, and Ross and myself and Grusch and a friend of ours, Scott Carlin, all had lunch together. And I think, and Ross, correct me if I'm wrong, because maybe I'm telling this wrong, but I think it came up at lunch that maybe we should record that day in case Dave either changed his mind, because he was supposed to be recording the very next day for the News Nation interview. And I think it came up at lunch that wouldn't it be good to sort of give him a chance to face the camera, see what that felt like. And in case we showed up at the News Nation only to see Dave get arrested, or God forbid us as well, and hauled away by federal agents, we should put him on camera. So
you told me about that all along the way, and that fact is that there was a worry, like a real.
So my question is, why can't it be moved? It doesn't it have like a cloaking ability? Isn't this like? I don't know the full backstory of. I heard they were closing down highways where this thing was located the day of the hearing. Basically signifying that this thing was being fucking moved.
He trusted you guys. We talked extensively about this, like what happens the next move. When he showed George full ICIG, it was like, so he trusted you guys. And I know, so Ross brings you to this table, you guys sit down. And was there a sense for you guys urgency that like something bad might happen, that you should do this?
I mean, I can speak to this a little bit. I'm sorry to interrupt, Bryce, but I was really worried that frankly, I think the intelligence community knew that Leslie and Ralph were working on a story, but I'd been dealing with Dave solidly in a form where I was hoping that our communications weren't being monitored in any way. And I wanted to keep it that way. And I'm not sure that they had any idea that Dave was traveling to Los Angeles to do the interview that he did with me. Because essentially what we wanted to do was wrong foot any attempt, if such an attempt occurred, to stop Dave from getting a broader platform. And I think possibly the people who don't want this story told were under the assumption that all that was going to happen was that Leslie and Ralph were going to try and put their story in the New York Times or the Washington Post. And frankly, I'll say it, I think the fix was in. I think they were convinced that they could stop that story running in the New York Times and the Washington Post. And I think they thought that if they did that, the story would be effectively neutralized. So I was paranoid that there might be some monitoring of Dave when he arrived in Los Angeles to do the interview that he did with me. And Dave's, I mean, honestly, the guy is an expert in counter-surveillance anyway. But
I gotta get ready for dinner.
I was very strongly paranoid, as most journalists are at the best of times, to ensure that we got anything with Dave. And Bryce's son, Jared, did a fantastic job just doing a backup interview, which we essentially did as an emergency in the event that anybody tried to stop Dave from doing the full News Nation recording.
The decision was made, well, maybe we should record this. And the question, this is so funny because it's how history happens. We're like, well, who's going to record it? And how do we even do this? And we're all at lunch right now. So I ended up calling my son, Jared, who is a filmmaker and has just finished his first feature film. And I said, hey, can you meet us at my house to record this thing? And his first, consideration was, well, I don't know. I'm kind of working on this or that. To which I said, I'll give you $500. And he said, what time do you need me there? I said, come now. And of course he did. And people would like us to just throw this interview out. And I think ultimately in historical transparency, someday it may be, but
I'm sorry I said that before. You're right. You should talk with Dave. That's your guys' decision. But I think you're right. Historically, at some point, even that extra
How was
stuff,
the UAP stream? You're already leaving before I leave?
Right?
Well, here's what's interesting, though. Dave Grusch.
You've been fucking badgering me for months. Now I'm finally here and you're leaving me. You got to stay the whole time.
In this interview.
I got another 20 minutes. Don't go
so it wasn't ever meant for air. It wasn't, and it's being shot by my
Hannah, could you tell me about your Mark Norman time in the city,
please? In the background where we were shooting it. So it was.
Can you just explain that real quick? I've been meaning to ask you. You hung out with Mark? Good. Okay. Let me, there's a movie that I watched recently that I don't know if you guys have seen. It's called The Tree of Life, and it's one of the most beautiful... Fucking piece of potato salad stuck in my throat. One of the most beautiful fucking movies I've ever watched. And basically the synopsis of the movie is... Really, are we alone? And are we all that matters? I know it sounds gay, but listen, this is the scene from the movie. I might have been stoned to the gills when I was watching it, but I cried. It was made by the director. I'll look at the DM in a bit. It was made by the director that directed A Thin Red Line. He makes one movie every 20 years. His name is Terrence Malick. And this is his depiction of how the universe was made, dude. Listen to the music. I'm going to mute myself. Really get immersed, dude. Get stoned. Get stoned out, dog. The Big Bang, I suppose. Or something else.
Answer me.
Let's check out the 3-body experience trailer.
As children, we fear the dark. Anything might be out there. The unknown troubles us. There are those who say we should not inquire too closely into who else might be living in that darkness. Better not to know. But we continue to search. Life looks for life.
Looks pretty good. Very Oriental inspired. It does look good. Game of Thrones people are, they always make good shit. All right, Hannock. I'm out of here, guys. Thank you for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back. I don't know when, but SummerSlam, dog. Let's do something for SummerSlam. Hit me up on Discord. I wasn't excited for SummerSlam until I watched some of those fucking promo packages they're releasing. Dude, WWE makes better movie trailers with their wrestlers than Hollywood does with their movies. At any rate, I'll see you guys later. Wrong one.
Hey, Sean, if you would have fallen.
That would have been the best. If you would have taken out your fine china, Gardini would have fucking wrecked your china.
Took out the camera. The bug thing I got.
And then just a bunch of I'm sorry's. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Matthew's not here. He's getting nose surgery.
Did you get a nose job?
No, he broke his nose.
What did he do?
He was body surfing and he smashed his face.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
How bad of it? Did he have
Like,
the
shattered his nose?
Did he have the black
Damn.
eyes?
Oh, yeah.
Will the taco like this?
Yeah, he was fucked.
So it's going to be a big reveal when he gets here. Like,
I
new face.
They're gonna do the thing where they take it off. And
That's today. He's getting his like stints out of his nose today.
Do you think his family's gonna be around? And then
I-
Billy's gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
I told his lovely wife to film him when he was post surgery, thinking it would be funny.
I hope they
but
put a
he was
black nose
fucked
on
up on drugs and he was furious.
He was mad?
Yeah, he was high on. He just got out of surgery. He was like, "Get the fuck out of my truck."
I always
She
come
goes,
out.
"Say hi to Shane." He goes, "Is this what you wanted, you sick fuck?"
You gotta put that video on the Patreon.
I can't do that because he's like.
He should have done the thing where he's like, "Hand me a mirror," like Jack, like Joker and Batman. He's like, "What did you do to me?"
Yeah. They should
What if he looks
sit him up.
What if he sounds different?
He may.
He's like, "Hey," Cusker goes back like, "Hey,
Grounding.
You know the body makes That's crazy. So he broke his nose that bad.
Yeah. He sent me the X-ray. He is, yeah.
What the fuck is body
He
surfing?
smashed. It's just riding a wave. Like Just
It's,
catching a wave at the beach.
it's laying down surfing.
Yeah,
Lay down surfing.
Yeah, but no board.
What?
He's just riding the waves, dude. Just him.
Like a
And
fish?
he went straight into either a
Wait,
person
so
or
there's
the ground.
there's no board involved in body surfing?
No, he goes like
He's just waiting for you. Know what the thing when you're a kid, you just let the
he
wave
dived
take
with
you.
the wave.
And he shattered his nose.
Shattered his nose.
Damn.
In front of his family. He was talking. He was like telling his kids, like, "Hey, watch this."
And then blood just coming
it came
down.
up like,
Oh fuck! That's not how it's supposed to go. Dude, that's fucking intense.
Yeah, that is intense.
So he had the surgery today. So he'll be back next week.
He'll be back next week
With his new nose.
Yeah,
Damn.
he's gonna be looking good, dude.
He's so
But
hot.
you've seen it?
No, I mean,
Oh.
yeah, I've seen what he looks like now, but it's covered up. He's got a bandage and it's taped to his face. He's like, "This fucking sucks."
I can't wait for that reveal.
I hope he shows up like it looks just like a classic fake, but like mustache nose.
I thought it was time to
Just give him a honker.
Here's a look at the NECA Toys